The Caravan of Ibn Fadlan audiobook. Translated and presented by Daman Baroba. All rights reserved by the Algerian Office for Copyright. Ahmad ibn Fadlan said, when the letter of Almuish ibn Yiltawar, king of the Saqalaba, reached the commander of the faithful al-Muqtadir, asking him to send someone to teach him about the religion, instruct him in the laws of Islam, build a mosque for him, erect a pulpit from which to proclaim Islam throughout his country and his entire kingdom, and to build a fortress to protect him from the kings who opposed him. The commander of the faithful granted his request. Nadhir al-Harami was his envoy, and I was appointed to read the caliph's letter to him, to deliver what was sent to him, and to supervise the jurists and teachers. And the caliph had arranged for the money to pay for what we have mentioned to be collected from the estate known as Arthakashmathan in the land of Khurasan, which was among the estates of Ibn al-Furat. The messenger to al-Muqtadir from the king of the Saqalaba was a Khazar man called Abdullah ibn Bashtu al-Khazari, and the messenger of the sultan was Sasan al-Rasi, the client of Nadhir al-Harami, along with Takim the Turk and Baris the Saklabi. I accompanied them. I was in charge of the gifts for the king, for his wife, his children, his brothers, and his commanders, as well as the medicines which he had requested from Nadhir in his letter. Ibn Fadlan's journey to Persia and Khurasan. We departed from Madinat al-Salam, the city of peace, Baghdad, on Thursday when 11 nights had passed in the month of Safar in the year 309, June 21st, 921 CE. We halted at Al-Narawan for 1 day, then departed and continued to Al-Daskara, where we stayed for 3 days. Then we departed for Hulwan, where we stayed for 2 days. Then we proceeded until we arrived at Karmasin, then continued to Hamad Han, where we stayed for 3 days. Then we proceeded until we arrived at Sawa, where we stayed for 2 days, and from there we proceeded to the city of Al-Ray, where we stayed for 11 days awaiting Ahmad ibn Ali, the brother of Saluk, for he was in Kuwar al-Ray. Then we departed for Kuwar al-Ray, where we stayed for 3 days. Then we departed for Simnan, then to Al-Damgan, where we encountered Ibn Karen. So we concealed ourselves within the caravan and marched in haste until we reached Nishapur. We learned that Layla ibn Numan had been killed. There we met Hamaway Kusa, the commander of the army of Khurasan. Then we proceeded to Sarax, then to Merv, then to Kushmahan, which is at the edge of the desert, Al-Mafaza. We stayed there for 3 days to rest the camels in preparation for entering the desert. Then we crossed the desert route to Amul. Then we crossed the Jahan, the Oxus River, Amu Darya, and arrived at Afrir, at the ribbit of Tahir ibn Ali. Then we proceeded to Baykand. Then we entered Bokhara. We presented ourselves to Al-Jayhani, who is the secretary of the emir of Khurasan. He is called the Ustad in Khurasan. He found a house for us and appointed a man to attend to our needs and to help us with everything we required. We stayed there for some days. Then Nasr ibn Ahmad gave us permission to enter. So we were admitted to him. He was a beardless youth. We greeted him according to protocol, and he ordered us to be seated. The first thing he said to us was, "How did you leave my lord, the commander of the faithful? May Allah prolong his life and preserve him, his household, and his retinue." We said, "In good health." He said, "May Allah increase his goodness." Then the letter concerning Arthakashmathan was read, from Al-Fadl ibn Musa al-Nazrani, the agent of Ibn al-Furat, and it was handed over to Ahmad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. After we had delivered the letter to its owner in Khwarazm, he ordered that its contents regarding the estate be withheld, as the letter was now at the gate of the land of the Turks in Baghshan. So we took custody of the funds ourselves. He said, "Where is Ahmad ibn Musa?" We said, "We left him in Madinat al-Salam, so that he would join us in 5 days from our departure. He has not arrived." He said, "We hear and obey our Lord, the Commander of the Faithful. May Allah prolong his life." News of this reached al-Fadl ibn Musa al-Nazrani, the agent of Ibn al-Furat, so he resorted to a trick regarding Ahmad ibn Musa. He wrote to the assistants and to the officials of Sirach stationed on the Khurasan road in Baykand. "Keep watch for Ahmad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi at the caravanserais and the guard posts. His description is such and such. Whoever finds him should detain him until we send our reply concerning him." So Ahmad ibn Musa was arrested in Merv. We remained in Bokhara for 28 days. Then al-Fadl ibn Musa, Abdullah ibn Bashtu, and others among our companions said that if we stayed longer, winter would set in, and we would not be able to complete our journey, and that if Ahmad ibn Musa were released, he would catch up with us. Ibn Fadlan said, "I saw in Bokhara dirhams of various types, among them dirhams called al-Gatrafia. They are made of yellow copper and are taken by number, not by weight. 100 of them are equal to 1 silver dirham. This is the dowry they give to their women when they marry. They use them likewise for buying property and for buying slaves. They do not accept any other dirhams. They have other dirhams called al-Mohammadiyah, 40 of which are worth 1 danik, and they have dirhams called al-Samarkandiyah, 6 of which are worth 1 danik." When I heard the words of Abdullah ibn Bashtu and the others warning me of the onset of winter, we departed from Bokhara, returned to the river, the Jayhan, and hired a ship to Khwarazm. The distance to Khwarazm from the place where we hired the ship is more than 200 farsakhs. We would travel for a part of the day only, as we could not travel for the whole day because of the intense cold, until we arrived in Khwarazm. We presented ourselves to its prince, Muhammad ibn Iraq Khwarazm Shah, who honored us, brought us close to him, and lodged us in a house. After 3 days he summoned us and discussed with us our entering the country of the Turks. He said, "I will not permit you to do that, and I am not allowed to let you risk your lives. I know this is a stratagem contrived by this youth," meaning Takin, for he was a blacksmith among us. He used to go and sell iron in the land of the infidels, and it was he who deceived Nadhir and persuaded him to convey the letter of the king of the Sakalaba to the commander of the faithful. And the Khwarazm Shah continued, "The king of Khurasan, the Samanid, was deceived when he urged the commander of the faithful to do this in that country. The road to that country which you mention has 1,000 tribes of infidels on it. This claim about the king of the Sakalaba is a lie fabricated against him, and I have given you sincere advice. We must write to the emir of Khurasan in Merv, so that he may write to the sultan in Baghdad, may Allah support him, to reconsider the matter, and you should wait here until the reply comes." So we left the emir that day. Then we returned to him and continued to debate with him, saying, "This is the order of the commander of the faithful and his letter. What is the need to reconsider it?" Until at last he gave us permission. So we departed from Khwarazm for Jurjaniya. The distance between them by water is 50 farsakhs. I saw debased dirhams in Khurasan. They call the dirham a tazija, and its weight is 4.5 daniks. Their money changers sell daniks and dirhams and trinkets. They are the most foul-mouthed and ill-natured of people. Their speech is like the screeching of starlings. In Khurasan, there is a village called Artiku, whose people are called Al-Kardaliya. Their speech is like the croaking of frogs, and they declare themselves innocent of the commander of the faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah be pleased with him, at the end of every prayer. We stayed in Jurjania for a number of days. The Ceyhan River froze from one bank to the other. The ice was 17 spans thick, and horses, mules, donkeys, and carts crossed over it as they would cross a road. It was solid and did not crack. It remained frozen for 3 months. We saw a country of which you would think a gate of bitter cold had been opened against us. And whenever snow falls there, it is accompanied by a violent wind. And if a man of that country wishes to show extreme kindness to his kinsman or friend, he says to him, "Come to my house so we can talk, for I have a good fire." That is the utmost kindness he can show. However, Allah Almighty has been gracious to them in the matter of firewood and has made it abundant for them. A cartload of firewood there costs only 2 tazija dirhams, and it weighs about 3,000 rattles, oxes, pounds. It is their custom that the beggar does not stand at the door. Rather, he enters a person's house and sits for an hour by the fire to warm himself. Then he says, "Bakand," which means bread. If he is given something, he takes it, otherwise he leaves. Our stay in Jurjania was prolonged. We stayed there through Rajab, Shaban, the month of Ramadan, and Shawwal of the year 309, December 921, March 922. Our stay was prolonged by the cold and its severity. I was told that 2 men drove 12 camels out to gather firewood from the scrub. They forgot to take flint and firewood with them. They spent the night without a fire, and by morning both the men and the camels had died from the extreme cold. Because of the extreme cold of the air, I saw that the markets and streets there were empty. A man would walk through the streets and the markets and would not meet anyone who would return his greeting. When I would leave the bathhouse and enter my house, I would look at my beard and see it was a solid block of ice, so I would bring it close to the fire to thaw it. I used to sleep inside a Turkish dome tent that was set up for me inside the house. I would wrap myself in blankets and furs, and even then my cheek would stick to the pillow from the cold. I saw the people there wearing gowns of sheepskin lined with wool, but it was of no use to them. I saw in that land wide ravines that had split open due to the intense cold, and huge trees that had split into 2 halves from the cold. When the middle of Shawwal of the year 309 arrived, mid-March 922, conditions began to change, and the Ceyhan River thawed. We gathered our travel provisions and bought Turkish camels. We also took for ourselves boats made from camel skins for crossing the rivers we would need to cross in the country of the Turks. We provisioned ourselves with bread, millet, and dried meat for 3 months. The people of the country who were friendly to us advised us to wear many layers of clothes, and they warned us about the extreme cold to come. What we later experienced was many times worse than what they had described to us. Each man among us was wearing a kaba, a jukkar over it, a sheepskin, a burnous, and a cap from which only his eyes could be seen, and trousers with an inner and outer layer. When one of us mounted a camel, he could hardly move because of all the clothes he was wearing. The jurist, the teacher, and the slave boys who had departed with us from Madinat al-Salam remained behind. They were afraid to enter that country. So only the envoy, his brother-in-law, Takin, Baris, and I proceeded. On the day we resolved to travel, I said to them, "O my companions, the king's servant is with you, and you have taken charge of all his affairs. You have the sultan's letters with you, and I have no doubt that they contain mention of sending 4,000 dinars to him, and you are going to a non-Arab king who will demand that sum from you." They said, "Do not worry, this is not required of us." So I warned them and said, "I know that he will demand it from you," but they did not accept my words. The caravan was made ready, and we hired a guide called Kalwas from the people of Jurjania. Then we put our trust in Allah the Almighty and committed our affair to him. We departed from Jurjania on Monday when 2 nights remained of Dichu al-Chida in the year 309, March 14th, 922. We camped at a place called Zamjan, which is the gate of the Turks. Then we departed on the following day and camped at a place called Jit. We traveled through snow so deep that the camels sank into it up to their knees, and we stayed in this place for 2 days.